Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin, Poconos Pythonista, on Friday, October 16th, 2020 at around noontime, and I'm just shooting this quick little video to say goodbye to an old friend, HitTail. Bring up my journal and do my traditional opening. This is where I think things through. It's my 80-20 rule poem, of which the last verse is the one to focus on. The 80-20 rule just asks you to start to plan your tasks. So when you're only 1/5 done, you could have stopped to still have won and still have won. And in that spirit, I created this online web app that focuses on my mental models, which if I start to make a new entry, you see they get put at the top there. What's most broken? Not getting traffic. Where do you get the biggest bang for the buck? Striking distance or lowest hanging fruit keywords to optimize on pages that are almost performing for you. Which plates need to be spun? Whichever one you haven't written articles for yet, or content for, created new URLs or improved past URLs. So I am going to go over to HitTail.com and see if it's still up and say goodbye. And I'll show you the video that I made for it once upon a time. Control-Shift-E brings up my Edge browser. And I'll just type HitTail in here. I'm logged in as myself, so it knows I'm connected to a site that talks about it, apparently. Anyway, there's the site. And dear customers, they'll be shutting down today. The last day is today. So I log in and here it is. This is where the keyword suggestions are made with a score of how good of a striking distance opportunity it actually is. And then you would add them over to your to-do list. And then you could look at your to-do list and then optimize for these things and then check them off as optimized and rinse and repeat, and your traffic grows. I have rarely practiced what I've preached for myself. I've been doing it professionally for clients for many, many years. But things have changed, which you can see if I go into search hits. You can see the kinds of search hits that are coming in don't have keywords on them. And there are a lot of unlikely sites like DuckDuckGo and the reading apps and a lot of Reddits, and not the exact landing page either in many cases. It's like home pages here, so it doesn't tell you a lot about it. Sometimes it's a full URL, but it's certainly not what I would call the black river of keywords, which if I bring up a new tab and I go to YouTube and I search for HitTail in YouTube, my first video on YouTube should probably come up, and there it is. I guess it's listed twice. These are the same videos. I click in here, and it starts out as a very PowerPoint-looking presentation. And I don't know if you can hear the audio, but I talk fast. I talk about the origins of it. I did this work for hire, so it belonged to Connors Communications, not me. It was not my baby. I never ended up giving it the long-term, tender, loving care I had intended to. So it really became a property that was passed from hand to hand, staying in much the same form as I left it in, working on this premise that the long tail, and which is the diversity of the keywords leading to your site, added up to as much traffic as your largest, best performing keywords. So by focusing on those parts of your site that are just barely performing for you, sort of tipping them over the edge, you are more likely to improve your results in a systematic and repeatable fashion. Um, you can see how much search has changed, how much, and at the same time, how little search has changed. This is the editorial advertising split that makes media work. Ad-driven media. Of course, there's the subscription model that's more popular these days. And what I want to show you here is the black river of keywords that used to exist in HitTail before the not provided event. I think of it like an asteroid hit in marketing, because once not provided occurred, you relied on data that Google was providing you through the then Webmaster console, and today the Google Search Console, GSC. And things changed. It became less to my liking, because there was less granularity to the data. Everything was sort of whitewashed. Even though you were the only one who could get your own data, Google provided your data in aggregate. So here is coming up the real important point, showing you what search used to look like when you looked at your log files. And this is a technique that had 15 years of life in it. It told you what to write about. It was a writing suggestion tool. There you go. So as you scrolled through your log files, it looked like this black river of keywords full of all this competitive intelligence that you could just sort of pull out, focus on, write about. And people usually, this part here shows how people focus on their fat head of keywords, but it's really not until you get down further in your list where you have, actionable item, the gems in the rough. And it's a process, the rinse and repeat process that I'm talking about, actually exposes much more of your site's content to the search engines. And while there were a lot of different tabs that, in HitTail, the one that really mattered was the Suggestions tab. That's where the magic occurred. Choose your topics, you write about them or strike them off. They go onto your to-do list. Well, then you write about them. You choose the ones that are best. You put them in something like your blogging software, which has to be best practices optimized, which is so many content management systems these days. And there you go. It's a process that works. And 15 years of life. That came out in 2006. Making this was my first YouTube video. I put it on my personal YouTube account just to make sure that it became a long-term asset. And there you have it. Quit out of that and export to Excel, but I am going to hit all, export to Excel, and there I have it. I have my latest list of keywords from HitTail. That was my last opportunity to do it. This is my last time logging in. So I'll see if there's anything else conceivably interesting to tell you about. I used to love to step through my search result page after page and how things have changed. I guess that's about it. I log out. I say goodbye to my dear old friend. Shout out to Adam Edwards, almost essentially a co-developer of this thing. Umber Shrivastava, dear friend, living in Texas now. And on and off coworker, and my other on and off coworker over the years, Tanya Nam, who was a co-developer as well. So thank you. It's been a crazy wild ride. I remember these days just like they were yesterday. And a shout out to Connie Connors, who funded the whole thing. It was Connors Communications. and it was a PR firm, the PR firm that launched Amazon.com, a boutique agency that had a couple of comebacks. And so there you have it. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe.